Look into the atom, you get what you need. Look into magic, and you get what you need. Philosophy and art are in both.
That's quite a thought from the artist Bob Camblin.
It is, yeah. Really makes you pause and think about where you go when you're trying to figure things out, doesn't it?
Totally. It kind of dissolves those lines we usually draw between, science and other ways of knowing.
Exactly. And that's sort of the theme today, isn't it? We're diving deep into Bob Camblin's art and thoughts.
We are. We're looking at the Camblin retrospective, 1956-1993, focusing in on 1963, and also this other source, Bob Camblin quotes and other mysteries. Sounds intriguing.
It really is. And for you, listening in as the learner, we know you want to get to the heart of things, find those aha moments quickly without getting bogged down.
Right. So our mission here is basically to pull out the most insightful, the most memorable bits from his work and his words during this period.
We'll look at what he was actually doing art-wise in 63 and then really dig into his ideas about, well, everything, art, life, perception. Yeah.
The human condition, yeah. We're hoping to find some surprising connections, some ideas that really stick with you. Okay, so where do we begin?
Well, let's start with 1963 itself. The records show at least 2 exhibitions he was involved in. And they're interestingly different.
Okay.
So first up, from April 14th to May 12th, he was part of a show at the Krannert Art Museum. It was called An Exhibition of Art Objects, collected by the faculty of the University of Illinois, Urbana.
Ah, so like a faculty collection show. What did he have in it?
A piece called The Fate of Miss Daphne Venezis. It's listed as pencil and color wash. And interestingly, it was lent by someone named Marvin Martin, not owned by the university itself.
And there's a catalog too?
Yep, an exhibition of art objects collected by the faculty of the University of Illinois, number 56. So that's documented.
Okay, so that's one context. University faculty collection. What was the other?
The other one mentioned for 1963 is an exhibition simply titled Bob Camblin at the St. Armand's Gallery down in St. Armand's Key, Florida. Florida. Okay, that is different. From a university museum setting to a presumably commercial gallery.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? On one hand, you have this connection to academia, maybe personal ties with faculty. On the other, you're showing in Florida, which suggests reaching out to buyers, a different part of the art world.
Yeah, it definitely sparks some curiosity about those different experiences for him. Okay, so that's the what he did. Let's switch gears now to what he thought, the quotes.
Right. And his thoughts on time and change are really quite something. He says, fortunately, some things remain forever, or another 10 years, perhaps.
Huh. Okay, so a bit tongue-in-cheek maybe, but also kind of profound. It's like our idea of forever is pretty limited.
It feels very grounded, doesn't it? Not overly romanticized. And it connects to another quote, which sounds much more personal, tied to a specific feeling. Sad how we all aged at the moment in time, salt air summer 1967.
Wow. That's evocative, like a shared realization hit them all at once. Makes you wonder what triggered it that summer.
It does. Some kind of shared experience, maybe witnessing decay or change very starkly. But then, almost as a counterpoint, you get this egg in brown leaves has a great secret of mine, that nothing changes.
An egg. Hidden.
Yeah.
Saying nothing changes. That seems contradictory.
It does, on the surface. Maybe he meant that despite all the surface level changes we see and feel, like aging, there's some core essence, some secret, that remains constant. It's a fascinating tension.
Yeah, definitely a tension. Okay, let's move into his ideas on art, perception, reality. This feels central, especially with that opening quote.
Absolutely. Look into the atom, you get what you need. Look into magic, and you get what you need. Philosophy and art are in both. It's such a direct statement, putting science and magic, philosophy and art all on the same level as ways to understand things.
It's really breaking down those barriers we usually put up, isn't it? Science over here, magic way over there.
Totally. He's suggesting they're all valid paths. And he develops this idea, aiming for what he calls the perfectly average view. He wants to embrace both science and magic to get to a bright gray.
A bright gray, I like that. Not choosing sides, but finding a synthesis, a more holistic view.
That's how it feels, yeah. A rejection of extremes, maybe. Looking for nuance. And he seems to really value intuition, too, stating the sixth sense is senza dubio, without a doubt.
Without a doubt. So intuition is just as real as seeing or hearing for him.
It seems so. Which connects to how he talks about our sensory limits, like, bright day and I soar, how cruel that my soul is attached to this earth, and yet...
Oh, yeah, that feeling of being constrained by our physical bodies, even when your spirit feels like it could fly.
Exactly. That kind of inherent tension in being human. And then there's this other one. Not a leaf moves, and yet we all feel the cool breeze.
That's subtle, like a shared feeling that isn't tied to an obvious physical event, almost psychic.
Maybe. Or just a heightened sensitivity and interconnectedness we don't always notice. It makes you think about those shared, unspoken feelings.
And he pushes the definition of art itself, doesn't he?
He really does. Art is not just images. Art for art's sake has become art for life's sake, or art for my sake, or art for survival's sake.
Wow. So art isn't just decoration or aesthetics. It's fundamental for living, for coping, maybe even for surviving.
Yeah, it elevates it beyond just, making things. It becomes a tool for navigating life itself.
This next one feels almost like a Zen koan or something. Step off the train of thought to find the power that is no power, to do the work that is not work, to laugh the true laugh. Bending is not bowing.
It's packed, isn't it? Like instructions for a different way of being.
What do you think he means by power that is no power?
Maybe it's like the power of yielding, of not forcing things, and work that is not work. Maybe that's finding joy in what you do so it doesn't feel like work.
And bending is not bowing implies flexibility, but without losing yourself, without giving up your core.
That sounds right. It's about adapting without surrendering your integrity. Really interesting stuff.
And then there's that incredibly vivid quote about feeling connected to everything.
Oh, the cosmos one, yeah. The cosmos waves as me with tree leaves. Sun-heated air moves across the electrons of my skin. Sunlight reflects those greens. First, white, then yellow-green, and in deep shadows, blue.
It's just, wow. You can almost feel it. The boundaries blurring between him and the universe, experiencing it right down to the electrons.
It's incredibly sensory. And he uses another analogy elsewhere, the frosted window, to talk about perception.
A frosted window, how does that work?
Well, you can see through it vaguely. You know something's out there.
Yeah.
But it's obscured. Your breath might clear a patch for a moment.
So it both revealed and conceals reality. And our perception is kind of like that temporary clearing.
Exactly. It's a great metaphor for how we glimpse reality but maybe never see it fully or clearly, how our understanding is always shifting.
Okay, let's shift again. Process, creation, truth. He says, find something in nature that completes you and then surrender.
That sounds very receptive, like letting nature guide the process, finding a connection, and then letting go.
A sense of humility there. But then he also talks about action and belief.
Right. The light is all you need. The end is to evolve by doing the best you can. The means is to amplify what you're doing and believe.
So it's not just passive surrender. It's also about effort, focus, and having faith in what you're doing. Amplify and believe.
Seems like a balance. And he talks about balance elsewhere too. And a balance, patience, and yet freedom again. And yet, in silence, the reality can be maintained.
Balance, patience, freedom, silence. It sounds like a recipe for staying grounded, for maintaining reality, as he puts it.
And navigating the complexities, and maybe navigating difficult emotions too. He has that line, true love moves to indifference to protect itself.
That one's jarring. Indifference to protect love.
It's unexpected, right? Maybe he saw intense passion as potentially destructive, that a certain detachment might be necessary for love to endure, to protect itself from burning out or from pain.
It's a challenging thought. He also talks about finding the sublime and the ridiculous. I like that.
Me too. And then look for the forgotten, but become what you are. Less only is.
Less only is. Stripping things down to the essentials. Finding yourself by looking at what's overlooked and getting rid of the clutter.
That's how it reads to me. Find beauty in odd places. Value simplicity. Be authentic.
And then there's the classic dilemma. Thinking versus doing. When you think, don't act. When you act, don't think.
Easier said than done, maybe. But it highlights that need for different modes. Overthinking kills action, maybe, and mindless action isn't great either.
Finding the right time for each. And he gets really personal about his own art, using that frosted window idea again.
Oh, yeah. That's a powerful bit. Drawing on a frosted window. I can see that captured truth in other work. But mine seems always to be close, but never yet stands completely free of me, except so very few pieces, and their freedom frightens me.
Wow. That vulnerability. Wanting the art to have its own life, but being almost scared when it actually does, that's incredibly honest.
It really shows the struggle, that deep connection, and the simultaneous desire for the work to transcend the artist.
Okay, let's touch on communication. He has some interesting takes here, too.
Definitely. Like, much better than arguing is to look at my watercolor palette.
I love that. It's like, stop talking. Just look at the evidence, at the work itself. The art communicates better than words sometimes.
Seems to be what he's suggesting. And he follows that up with, if you argue or if you agree, you may learn, but you do not communicate.
Okay, unpack that. Learning versus communicating. What's the difference for him?
Well, arguing or agreeing might be purely intellectual, right? You learn facts or viewpoints, but maybe true communication requires something more. Empathy, a shared feeling, something words alone can't always achieve.
Ah, I see. And he even says, knowledge does not and cannot educate.
Right. Implying that real education, real understanding, involves more than just facts. It needs experience, maybe emotional resonance. You can't just tell someone a feeling, they have to experience it.
Makes sense. Okay, life and death themes. He uses nature a lot here, too.
Yes, that haiku.
Yeah.
6 starlings sitting a melon. Among broken branches, look, no buds are growing. It's so stark.
Yeah. Brokenness, lack of new life. It hits hard. Simple image, big feeling.
And the trapped fish. There, beneath those rocks. Poor fish. Trapped by the changing tides. So much like us.
Oof. That feeling of being powerless against larger forces. I think everyone can relate to feeling trapped by the tides sometimes,
Absolutely. It's a
Yeah.
very direct comparison. But he also has lighter moments, even contemplating reincarnation.
The fly.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be too bad to come back as a fly if you knew your body would shine in the sun that way.
It's kind of charming, isn't it? Finding beauty and wonder in something usually considered insignificant or even annoying. An appreciation for different ways of being.
But then there's a darker metaphor, too. The
Yeah.
phoenix.
Yeah, the phoenix frozen in a salty shell. That sounds like potential. That's stuck, block transformation. The mythical bird of rebirth, but it's frozen.
Stagnation. That's a powerful image, too. And he even zooms out to the end of the universe.
Right. It folds back into itself some 80 billion years from now. The bird and I will sit and wait for that magnificent pulse.
Just to casually waiting 80 billion years with a bird for the universe to end and maybe restart. That's some serious cosmic perspective.
It really puts everything in context, doesn't it? A sense of immense scale and patience.
Okay, quickly then. Art in a changing world. He seemed aware of shifts happening.
Very much so. He talks about consumer art
Yeah.
and a move away from quiet contemplation towards shock and instant recognition.
Sounds familiar even today. And he questioned compromise in art.
Yeah, wondering about artistic standards changing. And his comment about teaching is funny but insightful. The first year, I assumed. The second year, I capitulated. The third year, I'm teaching.
Huh. That journey from assumption to giving in, to finally finding a way to actually teach, it suggests a learning curve and adaptation.
Definitely. And just one more quick theme, ego. He had a great analogy for
A
that.
goldfish one.
That's one. Your ego hidden and following you as gracefully as a goldfish's shit, folded under the waving tail. How neat that thought is.
It's crude, but strangely perfect. That hidden thing that just follows you around, part of you, but maybe not the part you want to show off.
Exactly. Humorous but perceptive about how the ego operates, often unseen.
And finally, it's worth noting how many other thinkers he references or includes quotes from. It's quite a list.
It really is. Alan Watts, William James, Sartre, Zen Proverbs, Bergson, Teilhard de Chardin, Lamarck, Koestler, Jung.
Fowles, Dostoevsky, Salinger, Updike, Durrell, Huxley. Wow.
It shows how widely read he was, right?
Yeah.
And how he was placing his own thoughts in dialogue with all these different streams of philosophy, psychology, literature, and science. His ideas didn't come out of nowhere.
No, clearly not. He was actively engaging with a whole world of ideas. Okay, so let's try and wrap this up for the learner listening in. What are the big takeaways from this dive into Camblin?
Well, I think we've seen just how interconnected everything was for him. Art wasn't separate from life or science or magic or philosophy. It was all part of this quest for understanding.
Yeah, and recurring ideas kept popping up, right? Questioning assumptions, finding meaning in everyday details, the tension between change and constancy, inner worlds and outer reality.
Definitely. And that strong sense that art is more than just aesthetics. For him, it seemed vital, a way to explore, to understand, maybe even, like he said, to survive.
He comes across as someone incredibly observant, thoughtful, and not afraid to sit with contradictions or difficult ideas.
Absolutely. Deeply introspective, constantly processing the world through his art and his words.
So we want to leave you with one last Camblin quote to mull over. The gate stays open, the fence is broken, he keeps searching, but does not know the size of his quarry, yet he has faith. He looks in all directions. If he could only see all around, all at once.
It makes you ask yourself, doesn't it? What's the quarry you're searching for? And what might help you see it differently, maybe more holistically?
A good question to ponder. If any of this sparked your interest, definitely check out more of Bob Camblin's work.
Yeah, there's clearly a lot more depth there to explore in his unique way of seeing the world.